Mina Aishatu Smile Sise, and today's here at Network Kana U building concerning the press briefing with the Ministry of Information and Communication call. We go inside the conference hall now. Outside the briefing, they take place.
Okay, gentlemen and ladies, good morning.
Good morning.
My colleague and I are here as part of the Hamingas for the commencement of the press conference. We promised at the beginning of this whole process to run a very transparent campaign against COVID-19. So as part of that effort, you have various people here today who will be updating the media on goings on at the AOC and relating to the COVID-19 fight generally. With me here is my colleague, Yusuf Keketoma Sandi, Press Secretary to the President. You also soon to join us will be the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Health and Sanitation, and the National Coordinator of the COVID-19 response team. So, welcome most certainly. For those of you who are not here, it is possible to join in and participate live in the press conference. Mr. Momini Jallo will give you details of joining in. Thank you.
Okay. So, good morning, everybody. This is part of keeping the government functional virtually. So, we have sent the link for this press briefing via all slide available media outlets. But like the minister was saying, we are noticing that media practitioners are struggling to pack in. So, we are now voluntary to provide training for virtual press conferences, etc., etc. But the ground rule is this. When you log in, when you join the meeting, there is a hand symbol on your screen. The hand symbol is for you to raise it when you want to speak. Definitely, those of us on this other side, we see that you want to ask a question. And once we see that, the mic will be transferred to you. The sooner you log in, the first thing you will have to do is to mute your mic to avoid feedback. So the first thing you do is mute your mic and mute your video to avoid feedback. When you want to speak, look for the screen, the hand on your screen. And then once you click that, you will see, I want to speak. When you click that, you will see that you want to ask a question, you want to speak, and then the mic will be transferred to you. So those are the simple ground rules, but we will work with slides to ensure that this is more effective than this. And thank you.
So we will be working with the Sierra Leone Association of Journalists and other affiliate bodies to organize training sessions for media practitioners who have been very useful, who have been very supportive in this fight, to be able to patch into virtual press conferences. This is a training we hope to start tomorrow. The necessary administrative liaisons will be done with the slide secretariat after this press conference. Joining us at today's press briefing are Messrs. Jacob Jesus Safa, Minister of Finance, Professor Alpha Tijanwuri, Minister for Health and Sanitation, the Chief Medical Officer, and the National Coordinator himself, who is leading the response. Of course, the Strategic Advisor to His Excellency on Media Matters is also here, Dr. K. Moana. And yours truly, Mohamed Rahman, I'm moderating today's press conference. So, time to get started. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. We are here today to keep government. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we are here today in fidelity to our commitment to keep government honest, to keep government faithful and committed to a transparent pursuit of the war against COVID-19. That is why you have a batch of distinguished personalities here with me to give an update and to speak to everything COVID. Like I have said, we will start immediately with the National Coordinator, Brigadier Retired Kelly Conte. Your moment.
Thank you very much, moderator. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here this morning to give an update from the EOC. Let me start with the current EPI update. The total number of positive cases as of today stands at 50, with 7 new cases determined today, all EPI linked to previous cases. The total number of contacts stand at 1,134, with 811 still under surveillance nationwide. We have run a total of 1,244 tests to date, 4% of which has been positive. Of the 50 cases, 35 are from contact lists, that's 70%. 9 are imported cases in quarantine, representing 18%. 2 cases likely imported but were outside of our quarantine, 4%. And 4 cases with questionable transmission sources still under investigation. You all have heard already that 6 patients have been discharged, whilst 1 was medically evacuated to South Africa. There are 35 patients in 3 treatment centers, 14 at 34 Military Hospital, 14 at Jue, and 7 at Lungi. Our current total bed capacity is 100 beds. Let me go on now to the quarantine situation. Our cumulative quarantine number stands at 1,617. 1,050 have completed their 14 days quarantine and they've been released. The quarantine statistics by districts, the highest number still is within the Western area urban, with 264 in quarantine. For Western area rural, 75, Port Loko, 26, Pujeung, 6, Cambia, 2, Bonth, 3, Moyamba, 9, Kenema, 154, Kailaung, 24, and Kono, 4. That brings the total number of quarantine now to 567. We've scored some successes. We've increased our contact tracing capacity. We have been able to trace all contacts so far, with 70% of our cases coming from those contacts. Testing capacity has also improved. There are now 4 labs currently running and have been able to test 1,244 samples to date, meaning we have a reasonable testing capacity. Our initial turnaround time was 24 hours when we started, but has now been improved to 12 hours. We can now have our results within those short period of time. We are making efforts to further improve on this capacity. The 14-day partial lockdown is proving to be a very prudent decision. To date, only 2 cases have moved from Freetown to the districts, 1 to Kenema before the partial lockdown itself, and 1 who received a pass for movement of essential goods during the partial lockdown phase. From these, it is clear that the restriction on inter-district travel is protecting the districts from further transmission from the epicenter, Freetown. A few key developments. A guard deployed at the Presidential Lodge tested positive 2 days ago, and the EOC protocols have kicked in to identify and isolate all primary and secondary contacts. The public will be informed in due course on progress on those investigations. You already know that His Excellency the President decided, for precautionary reasons, to self-isolate. And we want to thank His Excellency for taking that step as a good example to the nation that this is what we expect of good citizens. We thank His Excellency for doing so. This is no different from cases, for instance, the German Chancellor did the same, you will recall. The Canadian Prime Minister also did the same. Even though they were not primary contacts, they took the leadership role to self-isolate. We cannot thank the President enough. Now, a few key messages for the community. We still continue to ask our people to continue to wear face masks. We see quite a lot of areas that people are not complying with that. The scientists have explained that there is some merit in wearing face masks. It will protect you. Always use a face mask, especially when in public places and enclosures. The proper use of masks is encouraged, but such as not touching the mask when in use. Many times people touch their mask too frequently, and it's advisable not to do so, and always to wear them in public spaces. The washing of hands is also encouraged. Always wash your hands with soap and water for about 20 seconds, especially after you may have touched surfaces. Social distancing is also encouraged. The public is asked to cooperate and maintain social distancing. We must continue to keep 1 meter distance from the next person at all times. Better still, simply avoid crowded places as much as possible. If you do not have anything essential to do out of your homes, please continue to stay home. Our future plans. As we see cases rising, we are acting accordingly to prepare ourselves. We are identifying large isolation facilities for every district as we speak. That action is ongoing. These isolation facilities will be used for mild or asymptomatic cases to ensure that they can safely isolate without spreading the sickness to others until they recover. We expect these facilities to be opened within the next 2 to 4 weeks. We are also expanding our treatment centers nationwide. We know we have limited resources in the country to provide critical care. We now have 3 hospitals providing treatment to patients: 34 Military Hospital, Juwe, and Lunge, with currently 25% occupancy overall. Within 2 weeks, we will add an additional 2 hospitals as treatment centers, and we will continue to expand this nationwide. These treatment centers will complement our isolation facilities and provide critical care for individuals with more severe symptoms. Contact tracing and quarantine. We will continue to aggressively trace contacts on any positive cases. We must ensure these contacts are quarantined so that they do not pose a risk to others. As the number of contacts grow, quarantining has been a challenge for us. We are actively working to establish additional quarantine facilities that are safe and comfortable. However, please be aware that the resources are not infinite. As we move towards contact lists with thousands of people, we will also need local leadership and support to isolate people locally and safely. Let me reiterate, we are moving swiftly to establish additional quarantine centers, but we are also planning for a future stage where we need communities to help us monitor individuals and ensure they isolate themselves at home. Testing. We have conducted, as I mentioned earlier, 1,244 tests to date, and will continue to test people who present a health present themselves to health facilities with symptoms and to test contacts after their 14-day quarantine period. We are working with WHO, Africa CDC, and other partners to bring more tests, and we have just received a shipment today from Jack Ma Foundation. We're pleased to announce that. We are working to activate additional district labs in Bombali, Cambia, Bo, Kailaung, and at Oladurin. However, the more people refuse isolation and continue to be in contact with hundreds of individuals, the more pressure we have on our limited test kits. There are testing shortages around the world, and we do not have unlimited tests. This is why we need everyone to limit their contact with others. If someone then becomes sick, it means less people are at risk and less people need tested. We have now identified some high-risk areas for transmission based on cases to date and their contacts. We will be working to conduct community surveillance and testing in these areas to try to narrow in on the spread of the disease. We need cooperation of the public and these communities to ensure we can protect them. District emergency operation centers are being established at all districts to ensure that local leadership has the structure and resources to lead the necessary responses at district level. I thank you at this point. I'll end my statement.
Thank you very much, Retired Brigadier Kelly Conte, for that very comprehensive review of operations at the EOC. This is, like I mentioned in the beginning, keeping government honest, keeping our operations transparent, so that every Sierra Leonean, wherever you are, clearly understands that this government treats the business of the health and well-being of Sierra Leoneans very seriously. So the next speaker who will come and give account to Sierra Leoneans of how much we have fared and are continue to fare on in these difficult times is the Minister of Health, Professor Alpha Wuri. Your moment, sir. Thank you.
We are already keeping reasonable social distance. I can therefore allow myself to be able to talk freely.
Everybody else is masked, so you are reading.
We have been given a comprehensive position by the National Coordinator of the EOC. Therefore, let me recast this in a different format. The format to express what are the strengths that Sierra Leone has demonstrated so far, heighten the weaknesses, what opportunities that do we have, and what are the risks, the threats that we also have, and what will be the way forward, we think. You know, 3 months back, His Excellency the President demonstrated clear political will to say that we have to be ahead of the disease. We started off by ensuring that we screen people that come through the three main entry points. We moved on to identify initially China and other countries with disease prevalences above 50. And those that come from those countries were put on observation for 14 days, after which those that show signs and symptoms were tested as well. What I'm saying here, that we demonstrated clear political will. That I think is a major strength in us combating this disease. Another strength that we have to know now in relation to what happened during the Ebola is that we do have 14 molecular biologists in country, and we started off by validating the kits that we have, the PCR methodology, and to date we now have 5 sites, although we usually use 4, but we now have 5 laboratory sites that can run the disease independent of each other, with one, the Central Public Health Lab, used to confirm the disease. That is a major strength. We ran short of the viral transport medium, for example. Without that, you will not be able to collect samples from various parts of the country and bring into the labs. We were able to manufacture a supplement to use. And for us to be able to use a phosphate buffer saline and get the numbers, the results that we expect of the viral transport medium is laudable indeed as a country. And another issue which I think is a strength is that a couple of days ago at the task force meeting, we linked up to the USA, a man called Paul Farmer, and he clearly highlighted that what he's supposed to do in leading the fight in Massachusetts is exactly what he incorporated whilst he was in Sierra Leone. What I'm saying here is that we have effective and efficient contact tracing mechanism going on. If not, we will not have had, as has been highlighted by the Brigadier, that 70% of all those that have been picked up being positive, been within our system of quarantine methodologies. May I also now say another major strength is the training mode of people to be able to case manage whoever is sick. If that was weak, we would not have had people being free of the disease, of the virus, to leave the treatment center between 14 and 19 days. Sierra Leone sent out 3 or 4 medical doctors to be fully trained in Brazzaville before we started observing the disease in country. And apart from that as well, we trained during the lockdown 174. That's high tech for you.
This transition is doing very well, Professor.
Can you just drop down the sound for me?
Well, now my face has disappeared.
It's coming back, no worries.
So I can continue as my voice will still go on.
It's in the cloud now.
We were talking about the strengths, and we've highlighted a few, indicating that for case management with the core people of 3, we were able to continue to train, and we have now put together 174 people that can now actually go out and work and help those that would be sick. Another strength is that sanitizers do not come into the country very easily. But you never know that there is a company which is replaced ADAX called Sunbird. And Sunbird prepare 98% ethanol in country, indicating that Sierra Leone can be able to make its own hand sanitizers in country. 2 companies have already demonstrated the capability as I speak. That of that does Sanitol, which is what's Kishore Shankara's company called, and Walmart Industries as well. Those 2 companies, Shankara's and Walmart Industries, can actually do in-country Sanitol, or let me say sanitizers. But there is a weakness. And the weakness we have to recognize as a nation. And the key weakness is the availability of test kits. Even when cash is available to buy, the queue to be able to get test kits, it's becoming progressively difficult to handle. However, as a country, we have made a commitment to be able to do so. Another weakness, as you know, is the stock of IPC materials. It was refreshing to learn that 1 or 2 countries, Western countries that we thought are high-end countries, are now proposing that you reuse your IPCs, because you will not be in a position to get for it to be a daily use and you throw it out anymore. So Sierra Leone would have to come to terms with the fact that it will not be easy to be able to get it from other countries, but we must commend the various agencies that are supporting us. That is where I want to go with regards to the opportunities. And the first opportunity is the fact that indeed local and international companies are supporting this country. I'm sure the Minister of Finance will be in a position to say how much we have got from various companies that have willingly donated to the EOC and some to the ministry. And another opportunity is the fact that we can stratify our quarantine mode. We can stratify it to use hostel facilities as at now, to be able to use isolation entities whilst treatment of mild people can come in, and to go to treatment centers where we can also treat those that are realistic. Maybe a great opportunity to note is that we have already started to operate as one government. One government in the sense that we are here now at the Ministry of Information. The Ministry of Health passed on public information for the Ministry of Information to take the lead in that. The Ministry of Health has requested the Ministry of Social Welfare to take the lead in our psychosocial interventions in various quarantine homes. The Ministry of Health, through the EOC, is now talking to the Ministry of Youth to partner with the security agencies, so various youth organizations in various communities can help us in the security. So this multi-sectoral approach makes it easier for an old man like me not to feel under strain, in that I have a young man like Rado taking the lead in talking to the rest of the public. A major threat to all what we are doing is the fact that whilst we have closed the 3 major entry points, we now have people coming in to all the other points, by boat, by land, non-traditional entry points. We now see higher transmission rates in neighboring countries, more so in the Mano River Union, Liberia, Guinea, and Ivory Coast. And these people can access Sierra Leone through so many points. Indeed, our security positions are strengthened in all of this, but strengthening and complete closure is something a bit different. In the Kailaon hand, for example, the Makona Treaty indicates that Kizi is the same in Kizidugu, is the same in the Liberia end, and for the people there are no boundaries. You can walk in and walk out. What should be the way forward in all of this? The way forward, we have started to doing it in the sense that we have to package the information in a digitalized format. And we are lucky to have the DSTI that have started to put this, so get real-time information as we go along. This disease comes with fever. And the Ministry of Health is going to go out to distribute about 4 million malaria nets to households, such that we can cut down the potential of malaria being superimposed on the COVID disease as well. In all of this, the medical personnel is supreme. In all of this, we will not be in a position to do a lot without the medical team. His Excellency clearly indicated the medical team has to be pampered at this instant in time. And therefore, we are discussing with the key units, the doctors, the nurses, the CHOs, the pharmacists, as one family, and create a package as one family. A package that would involve cash, a package that would involve life insurance, a package that would involve some compensation as well. This is a time where the medical personnel is in the forefront. They are the warriors for all of us. To end here, let me say that I feel reasonably comfortable that indeed we have been able to identify 50 cases. Indeed, we have been able to do the tests in country, and indeed we have been able to ensure the city, so now the public wants me to put this one on.
Exactly the message that's coming
The public
back
say
around.
that you are the health minister.
Yes, but the health minister stammers, and the mic makes sure I stammer a bit more. And when I do so, I create some static charge that disrupts all the microphones. So now we are coming to the end. Let me say the essence of the mask is for us not to, when we breach social distancing. And as at now, we are not bridging social distancing. The essence of the mask is to say, when you are in a health facility, you should use a mask like this, which is medically approved of. But when you are contacting with people, then the cloth mask is very good to be used as well. The reason being, if you are in a public transport, in a market, where you cannot really fully adhere to social distancing, Then one, you want to ensure your droplets do not get to anyone, and also others do not get to you as well. So to end up, I want to express that Sierra Leone had been slightly ahead of the disease profile, and we have been in a position to be able to incorporate the medical personnel quite early in the process for us to be slightly for us to this to be manageable at this instant in time. And I would like to thank you.
Dr. Ori, thank you so very much, particularly for the latter part of your presentation where you again reiterated the free education that we are used to giving us much younger colleagues in cabinet. Thank you so very much. He was quite very heavy on the opportunities, the threats, and what have you that the COVID-19 fight presents to us, right? He mentioned, among other things, an unflagging political will. His Excellency has led from the front. For him, Sierra Leone is at the heart, at the fore and center of everything we do, for which reason he has been able to resource the response team in every way, real and imaginary, so that all parties can do the job with due diligence, with utter commitment and focus. For that reason, without putting the Minister of Finance on the spot, I'm going to call him here to talk to us about what we are doing about the healthcare workers. Because, like His Excellency always says, during the REF war, as a soldier, a young man, they were in the first line of response. They were the front lines, front line guys to battle the REF. Today, we have a hydra-headed problem called Corona. Another set of Sierra Leoneans are in the front line. This time, healthcare workers, doctors, nurses, and the rest. What are we doing to keep them committed and excited on the job? Mr. Jacob Jesus Afai is going to take us through this. I almost said doctor.
Yeah,
that's a matter of choice, just to get it to there.
I'm not used to masks. Whether it's ugly or not, you can take it to Facebook. But this is what I have. At least I'm covered. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister of Information. The two facts here, that President Bill is very much passionate and very much committed to providing incentives, other compensation arrangements for healthcare workers. He has directed the Minister of Health to work with the Ministry of Finance to put a package together. In 3 hours from now, we're going to go public and sign a memorandum of understanding with the healthcare workers, the various associations of healthcare workers. So it could be. So can I take it up?
No.
The public is complaining.
Yeah, let him keep it on.
It's okay.
No, please put it on.
But maybe you're not getting me clear.
They are getting you. You just talk loud a bit.
Okay. So in the next few hours, we're going to sign a memorandum of understanding, an MOU with the various categories of healthcare workers. So it may be premature at this stage to announce the package. So please bear with me. Let's do the ceremony at 2 o'clock with the Minister of Finance. But the fact remains we are committed to providing different schemes. The content of the scheme will be announced in the next few hours. That's one. Maybe since I have the mic now, I need to let you know that maybe starting from next week, we'll be updating you on the specifics. But as I speak to you, the Ministry of Finance has established a special account at the Central Bank called the COVID-19 account. We are all monies from the CRF, the Consolidated Revenue Fund, is depositing. When we started, we are providing interest to the Ministry of Health directly. We provided a total amount of 5 billion that was used for quarantine and preparedness. But at the moment the EOC was created, we thought it necessary to establish a separate account at the Central Bank. What we now do is that we take money from the CRA from time to time and replenish that account. So that at any time we need to come in, we have to come in quickly, without going through the rounds. That account, we have the Forex account, we have the local account. it's in that account, private donations are deposited. I just called the accountant general this morning to just give me what has been deposited to that account. We're talking about in the neighborhood of about 4.8 or 4.9 billion from private donations. But we're going to publish it in due course. I mean, there is still one figure I need to reconcile. But I've got the figures here, at least from 6, 7 organizations that have deposited money. All the other monies have been paid by government. I'm proud to say that so far, most of the resources we've spent on the COVID operation has been coming from the budget. But yet we've raised, or we're mobilizing some amounts from the partners. As recent as a week or two ago, we signed an agreement with the financing agreement for a grant resource of $7.5 million. But these are project resources. Like all project resources, they are managed on a special account. In this particular case, there's what we call IPOW in the Ministry of Health that is managing the World Bank project resources. But let me also say, in addition to the World Bank special project facility, as a government, we are also looking at the various portfolio, the various projects, and reprogramming resources for different activities. Not only for the health response, but as well as the economic response program. And I must say, the economic response program is attracting very positive attention for our partners. We had a one-on-one meeting recently with the Islamic Development Bank for a $25 million facility, which we are now working on. 15 million we have to decide what to do with it as a government. 10 million we have to decide what also to do with it, but it's likely going to be a trade facility. There is also another window that has been opened at the African Development Bank, which we are chasing, but they have not made the allocations yet. We're looking at that possibility. We're also looking at support from DFID. The European Union is also not necessarily new money, but budget support we are supposed to give us in November. They are going to try to bring it forward. I mean, the actual amount we are not definite about the postment. And in addition to that, as we said last week, Sierra Leone was among the first 25 countries in the world to benefit from debt relief. For the first 6 months, $18 million. For 2 years, it's going to be $80 million, which means when the debt falls due, we don't need to pay. Let's say in November, let's say in June, you're supposed to pay $10 million. They will say, no, don't pay, use that. But they have to tell us what we're going to do. We have to discuss with them for the purpose for which we can use the money. Because normally when they get the debt relief, the areas of spending, and often the time they tell you to spend it on the poor. I mean, they don't want you to use the money and use it to buy probably luxurious vehicles or like spending for the high income people. They want you to spend it on things that the poor will require. So we're going to discuss that. That's the benefit. Then the other one again is that the World Bank is also looking at, of course, we are still chasing resources from the World Bank, additional resources as part of the budgetary support. Then there are other windows open at the year which we are also chasing. But I must tell you, our resource mobilization drive is in high gear, and we hope things will not get out of control. Definitely there are revenue loss, substantial revenue loss in the process, but as a government, we try as best as we can to keep ourselves ahead. I mean, every day, for example, if we have a lockdown, it's going to cost government alone. It costs government about 20-25 billion every day when there's a lockdown. So, I mean, anytime we are talking about a lockdown, why do you think about a lockdown from the health point of view? I'm getting worried about the economic loss. So the Northeast are not very enthusiastic personally on the lockdown. But I may not have an option. This is the balance. In the US, currently there's a big debate between open the economy, continue the restriction. It's a debate all over the place. I mean as a government, as part of government, I will definitely adhere to what the government decides to do. There's an argument that you need to get the health situation under control so that the recovery can fast track. But I say no, get the recovery quickly and get some money. Because every day activities cease in Sierra Leone, it means you are losing revenue from GST. I mean, there was a huge volume or large volume of transactions taking place by the beach, by the entertainment industry. As of now, those revenues are not coming, no GST anymore. So it means quite a lot. It's quite challenging, but we hope to be up to task. Again, the last time we spoke, I told you about what the economic response for which we have put in place. Let me just re-echo it because it keeps coming. One is the whole objective of the program is to maintain macro stability, macroeconomic stability, and mitigate the impact of COVID-19 on households, businesses, and government overall. The first one objective was geared towards maintaining adequate stock levels of essential commodities at stabilized prices. To that end, the central bank has put in place a $50 million scheme to provide necessary forex and necessary credit to business people, not only for import, to import but as well as to produce. So if you're a manufacturer, you need essential input, you need foreign exchange, the central bank can give that one to you. But the central bank is not doing it directly. They are working through the commercial banks. And I think you must have seen in social media the entire scheme that's been advertised, how to access it. So all you need to do as a businessman, walk to your commercial bank, they give you the conditions, you apply through normal channels, then you have access to it. That's one. The second one is the SME, small and medium scale enterprises. Outside crowd, few people engage in small activities, market women, and so on and so forth. But that's more of a recovery program. It doesn't come when the fight is on. For instance, you can't go and give a microcredit of 5 million to a woman now when there's a lockdown. She's going to chop it. It's not economically wise. So you better wait when the transmission is low, economic activity start to pick up before SMEs can set in. So that's more of a recovery package. The third component is the social protection. That is safety net. Safety net is continuous. It's most needed during the lockdown. You saw what we did for the persons living with disability within 24 hours. That's the easiest thing to do. Let's look at those that we can easily identify. Because one of the problems with the safety net is the targeting. It's quick to mistarget, because everybody seems to be poor in Sierra Leone. Even those who have will still go and grab more, just to stop their houses. Okay. So we're looking at all those things. If in a particular area in Freetown, for example, you be the area is quarantined, that is a possible candidate for safety net. So that's a component. So that's what is going to go on. And to go on 3 months after the transmission has ended. Then we have public works. The rationale of public works in such a situation is to keep some economic activities going on so that the GDP is not further depressed. Then the last one is livelihood support. To agriculture. You cannot rely on imported food. You need to make some effort to produce some food. Particularly now is the planting season. So government is reprogramming some of its resources to support the agricultural sector, using part of the European Union funding, budgetary resources, part of the World Bank funding. All these things are on. You notice the electricity situation is probably even more stable than before, because before now we push them to collect the revenue, but now we try to give as much electricity as possible, because when people have long curfews, they have lockdowns, electricity becomes extremely essential to keep their food. You can't lock the people down and there's no light. It's going to be extremely terrible. So you notice during the lockdown since then and up to now, which means our spending on electricity has also increased. So during this type of situation, you don't only spend on electricity on earth, you also spend on electricity. Yes. Sorry? Social services. Yes. And now we are looking at, once I was sitting there, I was playing with you, because the reality is that throughout the day, there are requests on my phone reminding me about payment. There are few outstanding payments to be handled. I was trying to client using my phone by email. That's the life of the Minister of Finance. Particularly when in a developed country where you do not have excess money, where you can just draw and just throw things away like that. So, but the bottom line is that President Bill is very much keen about getting the economic agenda, and is very much keen to make sure commodity prices do not rise and stock levels are maintained at appreciable level. The only appeal is that when we give this facility, this encouragement, including tax waivers, because we don't forget that NRA is also considering different tax waivers depending on certain commodities. We do expect the market women not to escalate price, the retailers particularly, because there is one country, a 1% increase in anything can cause 20% or 30% increase in the price, in the retail prices. So we do commodity price monitoring with the Ministry of Trade, and we're going to really insist that people really keep the prices low. There are also other considerations in terms of giving special incentives for wholesalers who have depots or other stores in the provinces, so that the same price they sell the commodity in Freetown is the same price they sell the commodity in Kenema or Bo. It's a small difference, naturally. So the economic agenda is very much on the table. We are discussing it in tandem with the health response. Naturally, this whole corona is going to impact on the budget. It's going to impact on the medium-term expenditure, the medium-term development plan, but we cannot use it as an excuse throughout. We're going to fight it out as a government. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Minister of Finance, for taking us through particularly the quick impact economic recovery program. Everybody likes this because it keeps life going even when we're all fighting COVID. Of particular note is the compassionate intervention on behalf of people living with disabilities, right? I understand this program has been expanded because with COVID, you'll get a new port to go to. So this is going to be expanded to tend to the needs of those members of our community who are no lesser Sierra Leoneans. Of course, at the end of it all, we will be buoying up small, medium enterprises through a national microcredit scheme. This is all very good. So as President Bill fights the war to contain COVID, he's also firing on all his cylinders to ensure that the economy remains buoyant and people are not subject to unnecessary frivolities in prices. Thank you so very much. Let me use this opportunity to make a very important announcement. Since the war on COVID was declared, we have made a lot of efforts to outreach, to inform citizens using all available media about various efforts being made by government, various information, education campaigns to members of the public, and reaching out to various publics at home and abroad. We also realize in order to enhance message discipline, right, to keep the buoyancy of our communications process, and as pleased His Excellency, the President, retired Brigadier Julius Madabio, to appoint somebody to lead the COVID response as the official spokesperson. This person I'm about to name is no stranger in Sierra Leone media circles. He has a wide length and breadth of knowledge about the various publics he'll be relating with. He is also very respected in the media circles in Sierra Leone. He comes across as humble. He is a very focused, dedicated, committed, and extremely nimble person. You can call him at midnight for an interview and he will not wink, he will not blink, he will do that. So all of those considerations form the basis of His Excellency's decision to appoint my one-time Deputy Minister of Information and Communications, Mr. Solomon Jamiru, who incidentally is now Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation as a new spokesperson for the COVID response. Mr. Solomon Jamiru, let me on behalf of His Excellency and colleagues in Cabinet and elsewhere heartily congratulate you on this vote of trust and confidence in you. I have no doubt, absolutely, that you rise to the challenge and you bring a new meaning to what being spokesman is all about for a very essential role like this. Thank you. God bless you. Congratulations. Thank you. So, I think it's question and answer time now. You make your acceptance speech when you call your first press conference. Today's my press conference, not yours. So, Mr. Jallo, you're going to lead us through the question sessions. I'm sure a lot of our compatriots on social media have been asking, they want to know everything, ranging from the economy to the recovery to Corona and every other thing. So we're going to start the questions with those that are in attendance right now. First set. Okay, so the presidential spokesperson is going to help me administer this session of it. So appoint the first 5 people, sir.
Yes, you can have the first gentleman here. Your name and your institution, where you're coming from, and your question.
My name is Noah Jackson. I'm reporting for CTA. My question has to do with my question has to do with the bodyguard that was tested positive as announced by the president yesterday. I want to know if the contact tracing have already identified where this bodyguard in question get in contact with this particular virus.
Thank you very much. So what's going to happen is we are going to take in batches, so we'll take the first 5 and then get responses and then take other batches. Yes, the gentleman, your institution, where are you coming from?
Yes, good afternoon. I am Ishmael Sabimano. I work for the I want to know, sorry, how can you assess the level of compliance? Sorry. Telecontact. How can you assess the level of compliance among citizens, taking into consideration social distancing, using face masks, and the 117 call center? And also, some people think wearing face masks, we are totally protected. What will you say to them? And finally, why don't you, most of the time, go request briefing in Creole so that the least person will understand?
All right, thank you very much. Yes, the gentleman from AYV.
My name is Mohamed Banya from AYV. First off, I want to start with the Finance Minister. Mr. Minister, I want to know how much have you disbursed to the COVID-19 response directly? My second question is going to Professor Woli, the Minister of Health. How many tests have we done so far? And also, how many test kits do we have? My other question goes to Brigadier Kelly. You talked about areas that are risks. I want to know if Susan's Bay and Topsy Bay are amongst the risk areas. Finally, with the trending and the amount of cases we are having, do you foresee another lockdown?
Thank you very much. So we have 2 more questions for those who are here. And I also announce that there is a number that those who are listening to us virtually would get on to send messages, or probably, would they call as well, Jano?
No,
or just text message.
Yes.
So there's a text message number that I'll read. It's +232 76 622 914. So it's 076.
You can just read. Very important question.
Okay. So it's 076 622 914. So we'll take another question and then we'll probably go to our friends virtually. Yeah, the 4th question. Yes, carry on.
My name is Moses J. Labadi Jr. from Featon Television Network. The best message, or the most common message we'll be listening to, is wash our hands regularly. And we saw where health practitioners advising us to be using face masks. But I do believe the reason why they're asking us also to wash our hands regularly, it is because our hands also move faster. Why not the use of hand gloves?
Thank you very much, hand gloves. I'm just going to take the last one for our friends here and then, yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm Emmanuel Kemomo from the Initiatives for Media Development. I'm lucky to be the last, to have the last question. My question goes to the Minister of Finance. What is the collaboration between you and the ACC in ensuring that the corona funds are utilized judiciously?
Thank you very much to our friends here and our friends also virtually. We have a question from Mohammed Kaba that will just be a bonus for this session, so at least I also have them on board. So the question is, President Bio assured the public of open and transparent system. How transparent it is when the public don't know of the funding so far received from partners? And then how many health personnel do we have presently in the fight, and what is the weekly budget for the fight? So I think that's one for the Minister of Finance and then one for the Minister of Health. Now, just on the first question, I'm very also happy that the head of Stratcom is here from State House, which means that we also try to put the presidency close to what is happening with the COVID. On the first question with the president, I just want to register that the president is hale and happy. He's self-quarantine and together with the family as well, but they are very healthy. Even other staff were very healthy as well, because the question was on contact tracing. So I would like Kelly Conte, except if the head of Stratcom has any comment on that. So contact tracing, we have a question on contact tracing, question for the Minister of Finance, question for the coordinator on face mask and why not hand wash. So I'll now start with CMO. Is it CMO or Dr. Vandy from the Ministry of Health?
Yes.
AOC.
Yes. So the first question was regarding basically the case investigation about the security guard that tested positive for COVID-19 at the lodge, for whom His Excellency decided to isolate himself. Well, we investigated the case. We have security personnel deployed around quarantine homes, and there's a high level of interaction among the security personnel. We don't know where this particular security personnel might have contacted it, but the fact that he's positive, meaning he is maybe a primary or secondary contact to one of their colleagues that have been deployed around the security, around the quarantine facilities. A couple of them were quarantined. We don't know who specific ones were quarantined that is linked to this, but we are not interested in that now. What we are interested in, this is positive. We are going to track all the contacts, both primary and secondary, and because of this, this particular security personnel has nothing to do with His Excellency, but because they interact with their colleagues, he's just taking precautionary measures. Because they interact among themselves, that's why he's taking this precautionary measure. Not that it is the security person that is deployed to the president himself, no. But because they interact with others, that's why we are taking that precautionary measure. That's why we are doing that. For example, if somebody becomes positive in this room, I'm sitting there, you are sitting there and you are positive, God forbid, and you come to check the attendant list who we are in this room, and I happen to be there, but I was sitting there. The possibility for me for you to infect me is very remote. But because I'm here, for me to take precautionary measures, I say, okay, I was in that room, I was not there, let me isolate myself. This is what happened.
Thank you very much. I mean, the two messages are that one is a precautionary measure, and also that the team is working on the contact tracing.
Oh yes,
thank you very much.
And contact tracing investigation is not one day. We keep coming again and again and again until we get all those who
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, we now go to the coordinator. There are questions that you want to respond to. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much. I'll go to the question of whether we foresee another lockdown. Well, as part of the strategy we've been working on since the commencement of our operations at the EOC, we have certain triggers that will kickstart whatever activity we go into. For now, we're talking about if we see any active community transmission, it will trigger further lockdowns. For now, we have not clearly assessed that, although we are beginning to see the likelihood of that happening now. But yes, if the community transmission increases, certainly we'll have to have some lockdown. The details of that again will be announced in due course. Well, the other issues I'll leave with the Minister of Health and others. But the specific one to me, which was how we assess the level of compliance, I think generally we all know. Whilst we seem to be complying with these measures in official areas, in official circles, for instance, here in the building, for instance, Visitors are not allowed to come in, without face masks and things like that. And we do also respect that in other public places like at State House and the Ministry of Defense and certain other ministries. However, generally we do not think the public is complying fully as we would have liked, especially in congested areas like markets and also in minibuses. These are very close areas where we really do expect our public should comply, with those measures, because it protects them. If you do not have it and you go into those public spaces like podas or buses, you risk really having it if somebody in that particular bus has it. So this is why we are appealing, we continue to appeal to the public, like transportation like keke, even on motorbikes. For instance, there was a case that went with a motorbike to the treatment center. We had to quarantine the bike rider himself because the guy he was carrying, he was positive, and this guy was going to report himself to the center. So obviously the bike rider must be quarantined. So now, as we speak, he is under quarantine to protect himself from going out again further, because he may go and take some other passenger and then pass it on to them. So that's why we continue to appeal to people. Please wear your face masks, especially when you come to public spaces, to protect yourself, your families, and the rest of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We go to the Minister of Health and Sanitation for responses on the questions.
I would want the CMO to talk on why you wash hands preferably rather than use hand gloves. Okay. Let me talk about the test kits. I think the national coordinator clearly announced that the number of tests done is 1,244. So the number of tests done was announced as 1,244. The number of test kits in the various labs is around, in other words, on the bench, is about 1,000 kits, 1,000 tests, man tests on the bench. The number of tests that are still in stores is 2,100 man tests. So the country can access another 3,000 tests to go. 3,000 tests to go. And I'm then ask the CMO to look at why you prefer to wash hands rather than just use gloves.
Honorable Minister.
Is the mic on?
Yeah, it's on. It's on. Am I audible? Yeah, okay. Honorable Ministers, Press Secretary, DK, and colleagues, good afternoon. The reason for hand washing is very clear. You can ward off the agent effectively, that is, if you do your hand washing consistently. Now, specifically for the virus, the COVID virus, it has a lipid layer and it's easily killed if you wash your hands properly. The soap, the detergent will wash away that layer, expose it so that it is easily destroyed. And so the agent can stay on surfaces for long periods of time, and we're always touching, whether consciously or unconsciously. And so therefore hand washing is actually effective, as a means for breaking the chain of transmission.
And besides,
thank you very much.
And besides, you cannot use one glove for the whole day. If you want to use glove, anytime you touch any surface, you remove that glove, you have to change it. That is not practical. It's easy to wash your hand than to wear gloves.
Thank you very much, Dr. Van. That's the message. Easy to wash your hand than to wear gloves.
Absolutely.
I now invite the Minister of Finance on the questions on the economy.
Yeah, thank you very much. Basically, there are two points here. One point is how much we spend our collaboration with the ACC. I did say here that we're going to have a special press conference on the economic management itself. This was just part of a bigger press conference. But let me just say a few things here. First, both the preparedness and the response of COVID is funded by the government from the budget and from partners. Partner resources are on two fronts. They want to earn new money new money that is not part of any project. They were what's called reprogram resources. Reprogram resources meaning existing projects in country. In collaboration with partners, we can say, okay, take 10 million here and use it for COVID. Because using the program resources is easier in terms of insurance organization and completely new money. I did say here that when we started, the entire operations was directed by the Ministry of Health. For quarantine and few other things, for preparedness, we disbursed 5 billion total. In charge about 5 times, 5 billion. Then the EOC was created. When the EOC was created, we opened a special account at the central bank for COVID-19 and deposited in that account 25 billion, from which we still have a lot of money. We have some money there. I think what we disbursed so far is about, from the figures I have there as at Friday, the figures I have there, as of yesterday, we just disbursed about 15 billion from that account. But the reason why we did that, you don't want, this is a very key operation. You don't want at all times you want money, you have to go to the report. The CRM. I just instructed 10 billion to be sent to that COVID account. You always, as directed by the president, you always want to make sure there's money available when requested. But when you go to the report, it's going to be used to pay teachers, it's going to be used to pay nurses, it's going to be used to pay diet, it's going to be used to pay you, it's going to be used to give you small stipend and journalists when you go for press conferences. I mean, that's the report, so you don't want to single it. So as a responsible government, we have that account. And it is that account where all donations from private people locally are deposited. As I speak to you, my figures here, with some of the donations that have come yesterday or today, but as my figures here, what we have received from private people is slightly less than 5 billion that has gone to that account. From NP, 1 billion, Leone, 750, total 450 something, I don't know, but 459 million, yes. PCL 50 million, PCL 10 million, another 10 million, C-Rights Mining Company 1 billion, the UBA 1.4 billion. As I say, other deposit account. But these are the accounts you always check. When we have our press conference, I think that will not be able to give you update. So all these donations go to that account. When the EOC, and one of the things we have done, when EOC is only, that's the difference with the last Ebola struggle. EOC is the only, is the sole requesting authority when it comes to this operation. So whether the customer or Mr. Mwana or information wants money, the EOC has to authorize. As opposed to our fight for Ebola, where everybody was running to the Ministry of Finance. No. When Ministry of Health wants money, the man's government resources, they have to send it to the Graphic content. He endorses it, approves it before we pay out. That's why. But as I said, that is for government resources. For donor resources, for partner resources, for partner resources, they are managed by the different projects, existing projects. As I said, the COVID-19 is the health sector response project, funded by the World Bank. The World Bank already has its fiduciary agents, IPAD, that manages it. So when requests are made, for example, we are talking about the incentive for healthcare workers. It's going to be co-financed by the World Bank funding and the government funding. So we're now discussing it. If I've even asked them to just start, the minute they want to sign it today, they will start to pay those allowances. So that's how we come from there. Because the World Bank has its own rules. And the moment you change their own rules, like you don't even have the time to change it now, you're going to run into challenges. So what is important is that we coordinate spending. If there's any request coming from the EOC, I will contact him. And for example, ventilators. We paid for some ventilators, was funded from the government. The 8 ventilators, not so. Yes. I'm even asking him again, the other time we're expecting for him to pay for it. So that's how we collaborate. At the end of the day, we will do the different accounts and present it to the public. But the assurance I want to give to you, this is not the time where the president sit down and wait for Kasake from people. No, we are not going to stand as the president to have. This money is going to be managed within the framework of the government public financial management arrangement. Completely. and it's going to be managed in accordance with the rules and regulations of the public financial management. And the SCC is free at any time to come in. Remember, SCC is independent. So, I mean, I don't think you even want that collaboration between the Ministry of Finance and the SCC. They don't go for this country. No, when the SCC does its work, the Ministry of Finance is also been funded by the SCC. We should not collaborate so much. If we collaborate, you'll be there.
Thank you very much.
As una don listen to retired Brigadier Kelly Conte, wey na the national coordinator for COVID-19 in the country, wetin he say about the confirmed cases where we get and also the advice wey dem give to community people. And also, we get today the Minister of Finance, Jacob Jesus Safa. And also inside the press briefing today, we get the Minister of Health and Sanitation, where himself can talk about the ministry in strength. Me wake out this program to una today. Me your name na Aisatu Smile Sise. Until we meet again, I say tata.